there, friends and neighbors. Thanks for coming back to my channel. This is me, Stella Hendricks, back once again. And we are gonna start reviewing chapter 2 of Holly Madison's The Showgirl Next Door. All right. So, chapter 2 is called Las Vegas History. Are you ready for the cutest outfit of your life? Oh my gosh, amazing. Watch any of the major documentaries made on Las Vegas in the 90s, and one of the first things brought up is the oddity of such a major city out in the middle of the desert. The talking heads wonder, why would anyone come here? Why does this city exist? True, from today's vantage point, a city like Las Vegas, standing lonely in the middle of what seems like a barren desert, and with growth patterns that have threatened to exceed available resources, seems to make no sense. In reality, it was Vegas's water supply, namely its 2 springs, which attracted settlers in the first place. From the Paiute tribes to Spanish traders, map makers, Mormon missionaries, and railroad magnates, many people saw the Vegas Valley as an ideal stop on the way from Salt Lake City to Los Angeles. The aquifer in the middle of the desert is not only attracted settlers, but also gave Las Vegas its name, which is Spanish for the meadows. And to this day, we always think of Las Vegas as Sin City, but it actually has a really big Mormon population. There's still tons of Mormons in Vegas to this day. There's a temple in Vegas, isn't there? I feel like there's a temple in Vegas. Is it a small, ugly one, like the Reno one? Or is it a cool big one? I honestly don't know. I will have to look it up. Mormon trivia. Okay. My favorite first lady of Las Vegas, a massive overachiever and drama magnate, Helen Stewart, arrived in the valley from Pioche, Nevada in 1882. Her husband Archibald had the mortgage on a ranch owned by settler Octavius Decatur Gass, and Gass had defaulted. 2 years later, on a day when Archibald Stewart was away on business, ranch hand Schuler Henry told Helen he was quitting and demanded his pay. After she told him he'd have to wait for the return of her husband, he verbally abused her and defected to the Keel Ranch in what is now North Las Vegas. After his return, Archibald Stewart set out to confront Henry. Back in the days of the Old West, a situation like this often involved firearms, and hours later, Mrs. Stewart learned her husband was dead. Pregnant with her 5th child, she was stuck retrieving her husband's body herself and burying him in a coffin made out of 2 of her ranch's wooden doors. Oh my God. If that wasn't dramatic enough, the law found no proof to convict whomever killed Mr. Stewart. He died without a will, so Helen faced a legal battle to get ownership of the ranch. Oh my God. And Helen's troubles wouldn't end anytime soon. Archie, the child with whom she had been pregnant when her husband was killed, died before his 15th birthday after falling from a horse. And later the Keel sons, Ed and William, were found dead on their ranch by Helen's fiancé and his son. Though the cause of the death was ruled a murder-suicide, the later examination of the bodies deemed it possible murder, possible vengeance, putting any Hatfield McCoy drama to shame. Who knows? The world may never know. Whoa. Oh, I didn't show you the pictures. I love history. I'm a huge history nerd. I love to learn stories about crazy stuff like that. Here, this is kind of a bad picture. Well, it's an old picture. It's not a bad picture. It's just an old picture, so it's kind of hard to see, I reckon. All right. Ugh. No. Guess what's on the next page, friends? It's my old nemesis. The Hoover Dam. Oh, goddamn the Hoover Dam. I cannot abide the Hoover Dam. If you don't know why, you have to watch my first video about this. I tell the whole story. It's my enemy. I will never go again as long as I live to the Hoover Dam. But I should show you here some more historic pictures. Arizona Club. Some of the first like gambling halls and stuff popping up around here. But the good thing about the Hoover Dam is that, she talks about it in here, but I'm just going to kind of paraphrase, is that it did give a lot of jobs to a lot of men and helped provide for their families back in the Depression days. And so that is a really good thing about, we have to remember about that awful Hoover Dam that I hate with my heart. Okay, here is Vegas Vic. He is the one I was telling you who was the counterpart to Vegas Vicky, who we haven't seen her neon statue yet, but that's who Holly is imitating right there. And she was above Glitter Gulch. So, of course, I always have to point that out. By the mid-1940s, Billy Wilkerson, Los Angeles club owner, publisher of The Hollywood Reporter, and inveterate gambler, came to Las Vegas with a vision for the American Monte Carlo, right? He wanted to open a posh, sophisticated gaming establishment, unlike the Western-themed hotels. About that time, Guy McGaffey renamed Highway 91 south of Las Vegas the Strip after LA Sunset Strip, which was dotted by many famous clubs. Wilkerson, with notorious gangster, oh yeah, now we're getting into the good part, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel as a business partner and other mobsters in the shadows, began construction on the Flamingo Hotel, named for Wilkerson's favorite bird. Okay, I've heard so many effing stories about what the flamingo is named for. I just realized today where I heard that story that the flamingo was named after Virginia Hill's long legs. I heard that from American Justice, from a documentary on either mob women or Virginia Hill specifically. I can't really remember. But blame American Justice if that isn't true. I don't know if it is or not. But I like it. So I'm going to propagate that myth. If it is a myth. It could be true. It could be true. It was to be more luxurious than anything Las Vegas had ever seen, as well as one of the first air-conditioned hotels in town. Okay, I would go there. But because of the expense of post-war materials overbuilding because of Siegel's personal paranoia and a huge proportion of theft, it ran way over budget. In 1947, Siegel was shot dead in his girlfriend's Beverly Hills home. That's Virginia Hill's home. A killing that officially was never solved, but generally accepted to be ordered by organized crime figures, miffed by the cost overruns. Yeah, probably. The fabulous Flamingo was taken over by Siegel's associates and has changed many hands many times over the years. It is now owned by Caesars Entertainment and is the oldest existing resort on the Strip. Very, very cool. A lot of people, and it's on the modern Strip, because a lot of people don't know about Fremont Street, which gets talked about a little bit in here, and that's kind of like the other Strip that people don't know about, and I don't know why they don't know, because it's great. I didn't know until I was down there. I found out as like a local. Okay. So yeah, there's more hotels popping up. These are some I had never heard of before. This one's the Moulin Rouge. Never heard of that. Apparently it was segregated, so we're glad that one's gone. This one's called the Showboat, and I think that is so cool. I love themes. I know that themes sometimes can be considered to be like tacky and kind of Disneyland-y. I don't even care. I'm having a good time. Other people can't use their imagination and enjoy and like play. I think a lot of grown-ups forget how to play. I didn't forget. I have a lot of fun in my life. I pretend and I enjoy a good fun time. Okay, there was something on here I was gonna read. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to read something over here. Yeah, oh well. An offbeat testament to Las Vegas's unique and enduring ingenuity was the use of nearby atomic testing as a tourist attraction during the 50s, when the federal government set up a testing site just 65 miles from Las Vegas. It could have been seen as a true disaster for tourism. Instead, it became an attraction as bars promoted atomic cocktails, hotels hosted mushroom cloud viewing parties, and postcards like the one from Binion's Horseshoe Club carried photos of atomic blasts. Perhaps the campiest embrace of the atomic test site was Miss Atomic Bomb, a beauty photographed in a mushroom cloud bedecked bathing suit. That's amazing. Also, I'm so glad they talk about Binion's Horseshoe Club, because if you guys follow my Starlets and Harlots page, you will know about Binion. Benny Binion is the one who started that casino, and then his son, Ted, and his other kids, they took over it after his death. Well, Ted got into a bunch of trouble, and he got into a bunch of heroin, and then one night he met a sexy lady named Sandy Murphy, and then she was his sugar baby for a while, and then they got into a lot of fights, and you know how these stories go, and they found Ted, and he was overdosed of heroin, which he used a lot of heroin on his trip, and then they were like, oh no, he's dead. And then they're like, oh, was it an accident? Was it true? Or was it on purpose? Everyone is very suspicious. And then they found Sandy's secret boyfriend out in Pahrump, Nevada, digging up a secret safe full of Ted Binion's silver bars. What? And then they went to trial, and I think they got convicted of murder, but then they got unconvicted of murder. What's that called? Overturned. It was overturned, and I think they're both free today. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I saw this on a documentary somewhere, and so I started looking up the books and everything. It's a whole story that I will tell you if you keep following my channel. Or you can just Google it, probably, and find it out if you want. It's not a secret. Okay, the swinging 60s. This is a good era for Vegas. The 60s in Las Vegas were virtually defined by Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. When Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, and Joey Bishop were brought to Las Vegas to film the movie Ocean's 11 in 1960, a new identity for the city was born. After filming the movie during the day, the boys would head over to the Sands and put on a show in the Copa Room, becoming the hottest act in town overnight. The group performance was initially dubbed The Summit, but the guys together would come to be known as the Rat Pack, a group nickname bestowed on them by Humphrey Bogart's wife, Lauren Bacall, when they hung out at her place in Los Angeles. That's great. It's scandalous that they're called the Summit, though, because of, like, isn't that what they called the Mafia when they got together? No, that was the Syndicate. But no, they had, like, the Summit, and, like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to look that up. And I know that they hung out with mafiosos. It's true. I don't think they were like in the mafia, but the star-studded show at the Sands became legendary, not only for packing the house every night, but also for drawing a star-studded audience. If you were lucky enough to see the Rat Pack at the Sands, you might just have been sitting next to Marilyn Monroe, a Kennedy, or Elizabeth Taylor. The sophisticated ring-a-ding-ding cool of the Rat Pack became synonymous with Vegas style, as did the style of Elvis Presley when Viva Las Vegas was released in 1964. Starring Elvis and Anne Margaret. Elvis would marry his sweetheart Priscilla at the Aladdin in 1967. Oh yeah, another shift in Las Vegas's image came after the arrival of the world's first billionaire, Howard Hughes, in 1966. Hughes was so wealthy that he had to make some investments so that he could avoid the huge taxes that come with large amounts of dormant money. Vegas soon became his personal game of Monopoly, as he bought loads of real estate, starting with the Desert Inn. Oh, I love that old stuff. How funny. After being threatened with eviction after a long stay in a high roller suite at the Desert Inn, Hughes simply offered to buy the joint. At the International from 69 to 77, Elvis performed a total of 837 sold-out shows, becoming one of those classic and popular symbols of Las Vegas. Las Vegas went through a slump in the 80s. First, two tragic hotel fires earned it the nickname Singed City. At first, at the MGM Grand on November 21st, killed 85 people and injured hundreds more. I've heard of that one. It was followed 3 months later by a fire at the International in which 8 people died. Wow, guys. That's not good. I saw one place imploded. It wasn't in Vegas, it was in Reno, and it was called the Mapes. And I guess it was the biggest, or it was the first skyscraper in Nevada, I think is what it was. And so everyone was like, no, save it, it's historic. And other people were like, it's a pigeon toilet. And they ended up imploding it. And I saw it on the news and it was pretty cool. Have you ever seen a building imploded? It's wild. The theme era. Oh, I should show you. The Mirage led to an explosion of new, hyper-themed, family-friendly Disneyland for adults mega resorts up and down the street. The next was Excalibur. Then came the Egyptian-themed Luxor Pyramid Hotel. I love that one, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. The MGM Grand opened as the Emerald City. Then there's the Stratosphere. It looks like Seattle Space Needle, and it has a ride at the top. It has a roller coaster thing. In the New York resort brought a miniature version of the Big Apple to Las Vegas Strip. And that actually, I realized there was one thing that we did get to do sometimes when we went down to Vegas, that we did get to go into the sinful casinos, and that was extra delightful. And that was to go with my Uncle Mike, who I adore, and we would go on the Manhattan Express is I think the name of that roller coaster. We always called it the New York for some reason, but I think the roller coaster is called the Manhattan Express, and we did get to do that, and it was tons of fun, although the first time I chickened out because I've always had anxiety. Okay, luxury Las Vegas. As alert to high rollers and the bourgeoisie alike, luxury became a new focus of the Las Vegas innovator in the late 1990s. To make way for the luxury establishments to come, the old one had to be raised. Oh yeah, and they implode a whole bunch of them. Although, I'm really glad that they never got rid of Treasure Island's, oh, whoops, I'm blocking the pictures. Pirate ship. I thought some people were going to think that's tacky and they're going to tear it down, but they haven't yet, and I'm so glad because I love it. Don't tear it down. Tons of fun shows and everything. Okay, the Bellagio fountains. I have such a soft spot in my heart for those because in my first days in Vegas, you know, I had pretty much just like run away from my family and the church and everything, and I hadn't made a lot of friends down in Vegas, and I didn't have a lot of money. And I was very scared, and I was on my own in this whole new world, and you know, all that stuff. And at nighttime, sometimes I would go out to the Strip, and later on when I found out about it, I would go out to Fremont Street, and I would just sort of walk up and down and listen to the music and listen to the people and watch the lights. And it felt like, what's that song? By I think it's like Petula Clark, the Downtown song. That song would play in my head, or Viva Las Vegas, and it was just like a dream or something. It was fantastic, and one of the best things to do was to walk by the Bellagio because it had this music and choreographed fountain thing going on, and then sometimes it had the volcano that would erupt. Oh, it's so cool. It was so cool. And it was something that was a constant. It was always there, and it was something beautiful, and it was just so comforting to me at that time in my life. So when I see those fountains, I'm always like, oh, my old friends. Wowzer. Oh, God, yeah, Great Recession. When the housing market plummeted in September 2008, the country was plunged into the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Due to Las Vegas's dependence on disposable income and tourist dollars, the city tends to be hit harder than anywhere else during an economic downturn, seeing the effects of the slump sooner and taking longer than many other places to recover. Do you want to know, when I went down to Las Vegas, it was at like the height of the recession. It was terrible. I'm telling you, I went to like, yeah, you'd go for a waitressing job or something, and there would be 50 other people. It was insane. It was the most insane thing of my life. This is one thing that made me end up stripping. But Las Vegans can always be counted on for their ingenuity and ability to reinvent their city. That's right, we are a hardy group. There's the saying that you always land on your feet, like a cat, you always land on your feet. And I think that's exactly like the Las Vegas quick thinking reinvention, think on your feet, land on your feet. I think I got those vibes from Vegas, and that's how I certainly felt about myself when I was in Vegas. So I love it when people talk about that aspect of it. So thank you so much for coming for that review. And then next time we are gonna do chapter 3, Sweet Dreams. Thanks very much. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.